Hi, I'm Roseanne, and today I'm here with a good friend and fellow gardener, Tom Evers, in his gorgeous garden, which he's about to share with us. Before we begin, Tom, tell us a bit about the garden.
Well, I've been gardening here for about 26 years. The garden is about 3/10 of an acre, and I like to think that it has a little bit of everything.
It certainly does. In addition to the shade garden, which is filled with unusual shade-loving plant varieties, we'll take a look at the beautiful formal vegetable garden, or parterre. Also, a lovely waterfall and pond area, which provide a soothing sound of moving water. And finally, the rain garden, home to a large assortment of striking plants that are adaptive to a wide range of moisture conditions. Wherever you look, shade or sun, this garden is filled with delightful vignettes of colors and textures. Let's begin with these beautiful stone stairs, which lead to an entertaining area surrounding the waterfall and pond garden. To the right of the stairs is a densely planted and colorful bed filled with annuals, perennials, and shrubs. On the lowest level, an array of ceramic pots add an additional layer to the scene and soften the look of the stone behind it. I'm especially drawn to the contrast of the spiked blue-silver leaves against the background. This area faces south and is one of the sunnier areas in the entire garden. Notice the attractive combination of the bright pinkish red of the lobelia against the lime green of the globe-shaped arborvitae and potato vine. In front of the arborvitae, there's a creeping sedum. Then, for added foliage color and texture, there's a low-growing blue juniper surrounded by a very interesting array of low-growing annuals. As we head up, a more shade-tolerant group of plants can be found to the left of the stairs, such as vinca and heuchera. Dianthus, with the blue grass-like foliage, can be found on both sides of the stairs. The beds are balanced, but not symmetrical. At the top of the stairs, we're met with the sound of running water and a stunning statue.
This is our pond in our backyard with a bluestone patio. It's one of the first things we put in about 22 years ago. The pond is made of Masabi stone, which is from the Iron Range in northern Minnesota, and it's some of the oldest rock in the world.
The casual, random-looking placement of the stone outcroppings add to the natural feeling of this patio area. Here, pictured in spring, these hardy geranium add a welcome carpet of green. They have pink flowers and, once established, are incredibly tolerant of a variety of conditions, sun to shade, dry to moist. Now pictured in July, other plants have emerged. Notice all of the layers in this garden. Ground covers, or living mulch, easily cover any bare space. Continuing along the edges of the patio, look at this lovely scene filled with an assortment of foliage, shapes, and colors. All shade-loving and perennial, there are miniature hosta, pachysandra, Japanese painted ferns, some larger hosta, and for color, magenta flowered impatiens. When I visited in June, the mardigan lilies in this patio area were in full bloom. These are Mrs. R.O. Backhouse, and like all mardigans, they face downward with strongly recurved petals. More mardigans could be found in the shade garden toward the front of the house. These striking deep red colored lilies are clawed shried. They are disease resistant and relatively easy to grow. They like full sun, but can handle partial shade.
This is our shade garden. It covers the entire front and side of the house. The shade comes from 6 very large mature bur oak trees, which we love. And I love the challenge of shade gardening. And the focus is a little different. They don't change as much over the course of the year, but they do change.
For example, in springtime, some sections of the shade garden are alive with color. Look at this bed of Virginia bluebells, prized by bees and butterflies for its early source of nectar. Or this charming combination of bluebells and pink rhododendron. And last, but certainly not least, the beautiful and ornate lavender flowers of the epimedium. Now that it's the middle of summer, the shade garden is more defined by foliage, colors, shapes, and textures than blooms. Have you ever seen so many shades of green? This garden has such an interesting assortment of shade-loving or shade-tolerant plants. Among my favorites, and perhaps the most stunning, is the ice dragon maple. I can't think of any plant that has more detailed and delicate leaves and moves so gracefully in the wind. The ice dragon maple, a cross between a Korean maple and a Japanese maple, was bred to tolerate Zone 4 winters while still retaining the look of less cold-hardy Japanese maples. In spring, the leaves open red-orange and then turn to green. In the fall, the tree leaves turn a brilliant orange. If you are a Zone 4 gardener and have been wishing for a hardy Japanese maple, this hybrid may be for you. Next, I'd like to show you another plant that I found particularly attractive and asked Tom about it.
This is called yellow waxbells, Kieran-Gashoma palmata, and it has little yellow flowers late in summer and early fall. I love it because it has a huge kind of maple-shaped leaf, and it does great in the shade.
The yellow waxbells is surrounded by an attractive array of other plants that do well in shade. For example, the chartreuse-colored Japanese forest grass. The color and the grass-like leaves offer a nice contrast in this shaded border. Ground covers, as we saw in the waterfall and pond garden, add an important layer to the garden. This Russian cypress is a perfect example. The low, arching branches of the evergreen needles have so much texture, and they create an interesting dimension, especially when the wind blows. Other delightful ground covers in this garden include lamium. The silver of the foliage and the purple-pink flowers work so well against the other greens of the garden, such as the rich, deep green, glossy leaves of the pachysandra. And then there's the incredibly hardy, hard-working ginger. The tree with a lovely horizontal branching habit above the bed of ginger is a euonymus, also known as burning bush, for its brilliant red fall foliage, shown in the background of this picture. Throughout the garden, and for continuity, you can find Misabi stone outcroppings. Typically surrounded by low-growing plants, and in this case, an elegant Japanese-inspired lantern, they create beautiful vignettes. As we make our way to the rain garden, one can't miss the blue-silver fothergilla. What a stunning plant to add to the landscape, especially when placed among so many complementary shades of burgundy, green, and chartreuse. Fothergillas like consistently moist soil, and this one does well in partial shade. This rain garden was designed to collect water runoff from the house and driveway, where it would be absorbed by the soil and taken up by plants. In a way, it works like a retention pond. During heavy downpours, the garden easily fills up, which is great and the goal, because downpours create the most runoff and water pollution. The thick, elevated Misabi stones act as a bridge when there's standing water, or just a beautiful stepping stone path connecting parts of the garden when it's dry. The plants in the rain garden were selected and placed to create visual contrast and interest. To thrive in this environment, they need to be tolerant of varying degrees of moisture, which is why Tom chose so many native plants. One such plant is the blue flag iris, pictured here in May. Native to parts of North America, including Minnesota, it spreads readily but is not invasive, like its cousin, yellow flag iris. Another striking plant is this blue star Amsonia. Although it looks like a shrub, it's an herbaceous perennial, meaning it dies down to the ground every winter and grows to size every summer. It has brilliant light blue flowers and, like all Amsonia, is deer and rabbit resistant. There are 6 varieties of sedge or carex in the rain garden. My favorite would have to be this lovely Pennsylvania sedge. Although carex resemble grass, they're from an entirely different plant family and are known for thriving in swampy conditions. Next to the sedge is a large spreading clump of Ligularia. This Othello variety has attractive, large, rounded, leathery leaves that are tinted bronze. Later in the summer, it produces deep yellow, daisy-like flowers on top of tall purple stems. As we cross the stone bridge, we enter another part of the garden.
This is our vegetable garden. We lost an oak tree here about 12 years ago, and we finally had a spot that got enough sun to grow vegetables. We used Fond du Lac limestone for the raised beds. That material is also used on the house. We grow all kinds of things. In the spring we start with beets and peas and spinach and lettuce. And now that it's summer, we're growing tomatoes, basil, broccoli, radishes, carrots, cucumbers, all kinds of things.
A parterre is commonly defined as an ornamental and symmetrical arrangement of enclosed garden beds. Often, the full design of the parterre is best revealed when viewed from above, such as in this view from the home's balcony. The garden has a circular center and is separated into 4 quadrants, divided by wide paths. The use of natural stone to create the raised beds is both stunning and very practical. The garden area is not only home to vegetables, brightly colored annuals provide summer-long color and attract pollinators to the garden. The center of the parterre and focal point is a striking concrete pillar and urn planted with and surrounded by an assortment of annuals. This is the most striking vegetable garden I'm pretty sure I've ever seen. Thanks, Tom, for sharing your garden today. It was very enjoyable, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.